Hello and welcome to Point Loma High School production of Inherit to Win by the Thespian Society. We're so excited to see an audience and to have you here in the rebirth of the theater program we're very excited about. My name is Kevin Mahoney. I'm the club advisor. And something about me is I grew up in the theater. My father had a theater in downtown Detroit and spent my entire life working in the theater. And I've been here as a speech pathologist for 6 years, but now I have this opportunity, and I'm so glad to be back home on the stage. It feels good. A couple of announcements that you all know: turn off your phones or silence your phones, and no flash photography. Please give the actors they've worked so hard, give them every opportunity to sparkle and do the best they can absolutely do with no distractions. Thank you. A couple of thank yous. I'd like to thank Mr. Robert Nickel, who is directing the show. He worked so hard and did a fantastic job with these students. I'm very grateful. I also like to thank Mr. Wells from the art department who helped us with paint the cityscape, as you'll see, townscape I should call it. And Ms. Shagnon, who's a theater teacher, for her work with the actors, and also for spending a lot of time with me to tell me about the ins and outs of the job, so I could avoid the minefields. So welcome all, and enjoy the Thespian Society production of Inherit to Win.
Sit down, Rachel. I'll bring him out. Here he is. I'll leave you two to talk. Don't run off, Josh.
Hello, Josh.
Rachel, what are you doing here? I told you not to come here.
I couldn't help it. No one saw me. Mika won't tell. I just kept thinking of you. Locked up in here.
Hey, you know something funny?
What?
You know I don't cook. The food's better here when I'm than when I'm not in jail. You better not tell anybody how cool it is down here, or we'll have a crime wave every summer.
I stopped by your place, picked up some of your things, clean shit, best tie, couple of handkerchiefs.
Thanks.
Josh, why don't you tell us all a joke? Tell me anything about the law, and you won't do anything.
Well, I suppose everybody saw Steve Rock about Brady coming.
He's coming on a special train out of Chattanooga. Mom's going to the station to meet him. Everybody is.
Well, strike up the band.
Josh, it's still not too late. Why can't you just admit that you're wrong? If Matthew Harrison Brady comes here to tell the whole world how
You still think what I did was wrong?
Why did you do it?
You know why I did it. I had the book in my hand, Hunter's Civic Biology. I opened it up to chapter 17, Darwin's Origin of Species. All it says is that humans were just stuck here, like geraniums on a flower pot. That living comes from a long miracle. It didn't just happen in 7 days.
There's a law against it.
I know that.
Everybody says that what you did is bad.
It's not as simple as that. Good or bad, gay or nice, black or white. Do you know on top of the world, twilight is 6 months long?
We don't live at the top of the world. We live in Hillsboro. And when the sun goes down, it's dark. And why do you try to make it different? Here.
Thanks.
Why can't you be on the right side of things?
Your mother's side. Rachel!
Josh!
Thanks for the shirt.
Sweet. Imagine Matthew Harrison Brady coming here. I voted for him twice. Once in '04 and again in '08. Saw him once at a revival meeting in Chattanooga. Temple shook. Who's gonna be your lawyer, son?
I don't know yet. I wrote to that newspaper in Baltimore. They're sending somebody.
They better be loud.
Want me to go back down?
I don't mind if you stay up here.
I'm supposed to be in jail. I better be in jail.
The angels in the heaven began to fall. The cool down angels to stir the flood. They blew out the sun, the chain, the moon, and the blood. Come back, angels, and bar the door. I gotta tell my time, won't be no more.
Where's the banner? Why haven't you raised the banner?
I did trazzle just now.
See that you have it up before Mr. Brady arrives.
That's sweet doing, Reverend.
You must show him at once what kind of community this is.
Yes, Reverend. Big day, Reverend.
Indeed it is. Can you much ready?
Fifth King. Old 94 says train's on time out of Chattanooga. And Brady's off it all right.
As soon as Mr. Brady arrives, people are going to pour in. Town's going to fill like a great growing flood.
Looks like the biggest day of this town since we put up Coase's army.
Hillsboro. Heavenly Hillsboro. The butt below the Bible Belt.
A stranger here, and one who scorns for our righteous community? What are you? An evolutionist, an infidel, a sinner?
The worst kind. I work for a newspaper. E.K. Hornbeck, Baltimore Herald. I don't think I quite got it.
All of the members of the Bible League, get ready, in which we welcome Mr. Brady to Hillsboro.
Sound the trumpet, beat the drum. Everyone sound the cow.
You are not giving us quite so warm a welcome. Thank you. My friend Hillsborough, you know why I've come here. I have not come merely to prosecute a lawbreaker, an arrogant youth who has spoken out against the revealed word. I have come because of that which has happened in a schoolroom of your town has unloosed a wicked attack from the big cities of the north, an attack against the very law that you have placed so wisely among the statutes of the state. I am here to defend that which is most precious in the hearts of all of us, the living truth of the Scripture.
Municipality is proud to have within its limits. I believe that you should know, as a spiritual leader of this community, I am your servants and lords. We had our mayor, wise the governor, to honor you as Colonel Brady in the state militia.
Oh my, Colonel Brady! I like the sound of that!
We figured you might be hungry, Colonel Brady, so we pitched it all to you a birthday lunch.
Oh, I'm so sorry it was all that trouble, but we simply couldn't. On the train, they had the loveliest dining car.
And splendid, splendid. I could do with a little snack. Oh, what a handsome repast. And what a challenge it is to fit on the old armor, to distill our truth against the blasphemy of the sun.
Remember, the doctor told you not to overeat.
I will be fine, Mother. Just a bite or two. Mom, who among you knows the friend? Joshua Cates, is that his name?
We all know. Just about everybody in Hillsborough knows about everybody else.
And can someone tell me, is this Joshua Cates fellow, is he a criminal by nature?
Josh isn't a criminal. He's good, really. Wait, my child. It's okay. Is he a friend of yours? Oh, I couldn't tell anything about it.
Rachel! My daughter will be pleased to answer any questions about the defendant, Mr. Cates.
Your daughter, Reverend? You must be very proud indeed.
Now, how did you come to be acquainted with Mr. Cates?
At school. I'm a school teacher too.
And I'm sure you teach according to the precepts of the law.
Well, I try. My pupils are only second graders.
Tell me, child, has Joshua Cates ever tried to pollute your mind with his heathen dogma?
Isn't a heathen.
I understand your loyalty, my child. This man, the man in your jailhouse, well, he's a fellow school teacher, likable, no doubt, and you're loath to speak out against him in front of all these people. But later, I hope you and I can talk privately. I want you to consider me as a friend, Rachel, and tell me what bothers you. Now, who will the young man's defense attorney be?
We aren't sure yet, but whoever it is, he won't have much chance against you with
I disagree.
Who are you?
E.K. Hornbeck from the Baltimore Herald. Remember? When the sovereign state decided to indict the sovereign mind of a less than sovereign school teacher, my editor told me I had more than a headline here. So, the Baltimore Herald is proud to announce it is sending 2 representatives to heavenly Hillsborough. One, the greatest reporter in the 20th century, myself, and the most agile legal mind in the 20th century as well, Harriet Drummond.
Harriet Drummond? The agnostic? I have heard of her. A vicious, godless Jezebel.
Merry Christmas and a jolly 4th of July.
Harriet Drummond is an agent of darkness. We will not let her into town.
Don't know by what law you can keep her out.
I saw Drummond once in a courtroom in Ohio. A man was on trial for the most vicious crime, and although she knew and admitted Drummond was perverting the evidence, he cast the guilt away from the accused and onto you and me and all of society. I can still see her face. You look at her eyes and you wonder why God made such a creature. You realize she is a creation of God. She's the spawn of the devil.
Drummond. Harriet Drummond.
We will not let her into town.
No. No, I believe we should welcome Harriet Drummond.
Welcome her.
Yes. For when the enemy sends its Goliath into battle, he magnifies our cause.
Oh boy.
Harriet Drummond has stopped the land of the conquest of this land for over 40 years. Where she fights, headlines follow. The whole world will be watching our victory over Drummond. I say, St. George had slain a dragonfly. Well, who would remember him, huh? What will Drummond try to do? She will try to make us forget the lawbreaker, put the law on trial. This makes it all the more urgent I learn everything I can about your Mr. Cates.
But Mr. Brady,
My daughter has always been taught to do the righteous thing.
I'm sure she has.
If you need a private place to speak, we have a suite ready for you at the mansion house. I believe you'll already find your bag there.
Very thoughtful, considerate of you.
If you'll follow me, it's only across the square.
Miss Meeker! Miss Meeker! Josh, you down here? Josh, you gotta tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Oh, where is she?
I offer advice. remarkably low hourly rates. 10% off the clergy and their daughters.
What are you doing here?
I'm scouting out the battlefield the night before the battle, before the stench of journalistic camp followers take up my roof. And as you can see, I found an observation post to watch the break. Wait! Why do you want to see Joshua Cates? What's he to you? Read he. And if it's important to you, I think there's a newspaper in particular you should read. You see, my typewriter's been singing a sweet, sad song about the Hillsborough heretic. Boy Socrates, latter-day Galileo, Romeo with a biology book. I may be rancid butter, but I'm on your side of bread.
This sounds as if you're a friend of Josh's.
Oh, as much as a critic can befriend anyone. Have a bite. Don't worry, Lily. I'm no serpent, and this isn't from any kind of tree of knowledge. You won't find one in heavenly Hillsborough. Beeches, birches, butternuts, maybe a few ignorance bushes. No tree of knowledge, however.
Will this be published here? In the local paper?
The Daily Sniffer, whatever they call the lead-in stuff they roll out there, the lead-in types here. I doubt it.
It would help Josh if people here could read this. It would help them understand. I would have never expected you to write something like this. You seem so...
Cynical? That's my fascination. I do hateable things for which they love me, and lovable things for which they hate me. I'm a friend of enemies and an enemy of friends. I am both poles and the equator, with no temperate zones in between.
I mean, you make it sound as if Josh is a hero. I'd like to believe that, but I can't. A school teacher is a public servant. He should deal with the law, and the school board tell him to. I mean, if the superintendent says to me, Miss Brown, you're to teach from Whitley's second reader, I don't feel I have to give you an argument.
Forgive your pupils a snap quiz on existence.
What?
Where we from, where we are, where we're going, things like that.
All of the answers to those questions are in the Bible.
Oh my God. You feed the youth of Hillsborough from that little vegetable garden of your mind?
Oh, well, there must be something wrong in what Josh believes if a great man like Mr. Brady comes here to speak out against him.
Listen here. Matthew Harrison Brady came here to find a stomach to shout from. That's all.
You couldn't understand. Mr. Brady is the champion of ordinary people like us.
Wake up, Sleeping Beauty! The ordinary people played a dirty trick on Colonel Brady. They ceased to exist. Time was when Brady was hero of the hinterland, the great water boy to the even greater unwashed masses. Unfortunately, we got great inside plumbing these days. Our trees have been bulldozed by their cousins, the telephone pole, and your cute little backwoods turned into a 10-lane highway. Cars pile up, leaving our poor dear yesterday Messiah alone in the wind. Alone.
Excuse me, is this a courthouse building? I'm a little turned around.
Drummond? Hello, spawn of the devil. Welcome to hell!
Shut the door, keep out the devil. Shut the door, keep the devil in the night. Light the candle, everything is alright. When you light the candle, everything is alright. Oh, when I was a baby child, shut the door, keep out the devil. Good and bad was just a game. Shut the door, keep the devil in the night. Many years and big trial. Shut the door, keep out.
State your name and occupation. Jesse H. Dunlap, farmer, and cabinet maker.
Do you believe in the Bible, Miss Dunlap?
I believe in the holy word of God, and I believe in Matthew Harrison Brady.
She is acceptable to the prosecution.
Thank you, Colonel Brady. Miss Drummond? No question, not acceptable.
Does Miss Drummond refuse this juror simply because she believes in the Bible?
Well, if you find an abolitionist in this town, you can refuse him.
Your Honor, I object. The defense is rejecting an unworthy citizen without so much as asking a question.
All right. I'll ask a question. How are you? Kinda hot. So am I. Excuse.
Your Honor, I object to the note of liberty which the counsel for the defense is introducing into these proceedings.
Bench agrees with you in spirit, Colonel Brady. I object to all this dead turtle talk. I
I'm not familiar with Mr. Brady's military record.
Well, he was made an honorary colonel in the state militia the day he arrived in Hillsborough.
The use of this title prejudices the case of my client. It calls up a picture of the prosecution, astride a white horse ablaze in the uniform of a militia colonel, with all the forces of right and righteousness marshaled behind him.
And what can we do?
There you go. Make him a private. I have no serious objections to Private Brady.
Well, we can't take it back. By the authority vested, said the governor of mind, I hereby appoint you, Miss Drummond, temporary honorary colonel in state militia.
What can I say? It's not often in a woman's life that she attains the exalted rank of temporary honorary colonel.
It will be made permanent, of course, pending the arrival of the proper papers over the governor's signature.
Oh, thank you.
And Brady, Colonel Drummond, we will continue with the examination of prospective jurors.
Next witness.
State your name and occupation.
Georgia Stillers, my husband and I own the feed store.
Would you call yourself a particularly religious person, Miss Sills?
I guess I'm as religious as the next.
Hillsborough, ma'am, that means a great deal. Do you have any children, Miss Sills?
Children? Not as I know of.
If you had a son, Miss Sills, or daughter, what'd you think if that sweet child came home from school one day and told you that a godless teacher...
We're supposed to be choosing jury members. The prosecution is denouncing the defendant before the trial has even begun.
Objection sustained.
Miss Sills, do you have any personal opinions that might prejudice you towards the defense?
Okay. I don't hardly know him. He bought some peat moss from me once and paid his bill.
Miss Sills impresses me as an honest and God-fearing juror. I accept her.
Thank you, Colonel Brady. Miss Drummond?
Miss Silvers, you just said you were a religious person. Tell me something. Do you work very hard at it?
Well, I'm pretty busy down at the store. My husband tends to the religion for the both of us.
In other words, you take care of this life and he takes care of the next one?
Objection.
Objection sustained.
Miss Sillers, while your husband was working at religion, did you or he ever happen to stumble upon a fellow named Charles Darwin?
Not till recent.
And what you heard of this Charles Darwin, do you ever think that you'd invite him over to Sunday dinner?
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is cluttering the issue by asking you hypothetical questions. The prosecution is perfectly able to handle its own arguments.
Look, I've established that Miss Sillers isn't working very hard at religion. Now, for your sake, I'm making sure she isn't working hard at evolution, too.
I'm just working at the feed store.
Miss Sills, do you think we should
That's already accepted.
I want to settle the state of the mind of the matters of the jury conforms!
Or conform, what do you want to do? Run the jury through me grind until they all come out the same? I think you're making a fine impartial jury, Miss Sillers. Take a box seat over there.
Your Honor, this is ludicrous!
Both out of order. Now, due to the lateness of the hour and the unusual, this court is recessed until 10 a.m. Oh, and the Reverend Brown has asked me to make this announcement. There will be a prayer meeting tonight to pray for justice and guidance, and all are welcome.
Your Honor, I object to this commercial announcement
Commercial announcement?
for Reverend Brown's product. Why don't you announce that there will be an evolutionist meeting?
I have no knowledge of such a meeting.
That's understandable. It's bad enough that everybody walking in through this courthouse has to go underneath a banner that says, "Read your Bible." Your Honor, I want that sign taken down. No! I want one put up just as big that says, "Read your Darwin."
That's preposterous.
It certainly is!
Colonel Drummond, you are out of order. This court stands recessed.
Miss Drummond, you gotta call this whole thing off now. It's still not too late. Josh knows he did wrong, and he didn't mean to now. Why can't you just get up there and say everybody I did wrong? I broke a lie, and I didn't mean to, and he's sorry, and then they call off all this fuss, and everything would be like it was.
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Josh's.
What do you say? You getting cold feet?
I never thought it would be like this. Like Barnum and Bailey coming to town.
Well, you can call it all off. You want to quit?
Yes.
as if I was a murderer. Worse than a murderer. Remember Rachel, that fellow from Minnesota who killed his wife? Half the town turned out to see him, put him on the train. They just looked at him as if it was a curiosity. Not like they hated him. Not like he'd done anything really wrong. Just different.
There's nothing very original about murdering your wife.
People I thought were my friends now look at me as if I have horns going out of my head.
You murder a wife, it isn't nearly as bad as murdering one of their old wives' tales. Kill one of their Philly fairy tale notions and then call down the wrath of God, Brady, and the state legislature.
You make a joke out of everything. You seem to think it's so funny.
Miss, when you lose your power to laugh, you lose your power to think straight.
Miss Drummond, I can't laugh. I'm scared.
Good. You'd be a damn fool if you weren't.
You're supposed to help Josh, but every time you swear, you make it worse for him.
I don't swear just for the hell of it. There's a damn few words that everybody understands, and I think you might as well use them.
You don't care anything about Josh. You just want a chance to make speeches against the Bible.
I care a great deal about Josh. I care a great deal about what Josh thinks.
Well, I care what the people in this town think of him.
Can you buy back his respectability by making him look like a coward? I know what Josh is going through. It is the loneliest feeling in the world. Find yourself standing up while everybody else is sitting down. Have everybody look at you and say, "What's the matter with her?" I know exactly what it feels like. To walk down an empty street, listening to the sound of your own footsteps. You can't tell whether you're walking towards something or just walking away from it. All right, kids. You can change your plea. You can call this whole thing off on one condition, that you honestly believe that you've done wrong in this community in the minds of their children. That you honestly believe that you are wrong and the law is right. And to hell with it. I'll pack up and go back to Chicago.
Josh knows he's wrong, don't you, Josh?
No problem, witness.
What do you think, Miss Drummond?
I'm here. That tells you what I think. So what's the verdict, Josh? You gotta find yourself guilty before the jury does?
No.
What was that?
No, ma'am. I'm not going to quit.
Josh!
Rachel, it wouldn't do any good now anyhow. If you stick by me, well, we can fight it out.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
What's wrong, Rachel?
Well, I was talking to Mr. Brady.
Brady? What does Brady say?
They want me to testify against Josh.
You can't. Rachel, some of the things I've talked to you about are just things you say to your own heart. If you get up on the stand and say those things out loud, don't you understand the words I've said to you softly in the dark? Just trying to figure out what the stars are for or what might be on the backside of the moon. They were just questions, Rach. They were just questions. If you say those things, if you repeat those things on this witness stand, Brady will make them sound like answers and they'll crucify me.
Josh. What's your name? Rachel what?
Rachel Brown. Can they make me testify?
It'd be great if nobody had to make anybody do anything. But don't let Brady scare you. He only seems to be bigger than the law.
It's not Mr. Brady. It's my mother,
Who's your mother?
the Reverend Jerusha Brown. I remember feeling this way when I was a little girl. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, terrified of the dark. I would think that my bed was on the ceiling and the whole house upside down. If I didn't hold on tight to my mattress, I might fall outward into the stars. I wanted to run to my mother, to have her tell me that I was safe, that everything was okay. But I was always more scared of her than I was of falling. It's the same way now.
Is your father dead?
I never knew my father. Is it true? Is Josh wicked?
Josh Kitts is a good man. Maybe even a great one. And it takes courage to stand by such a man, especially when he's a pariah in the community.
I'm only confusing Josh, and he's confused enough as it is.
Somebody who has it all figured out is probably a fool. College examinations notwithstanding, takes bravery to say, I don't know the answer.
Mr. Brady, just one question, Mr. Brady. Come on, make me the happy.
Certainly.
What's your personal opinion of Harriet Drummond?
I want people everywhere to know that I hold no personal animosity toward Miss Drummond. There was a time when we were on the same side of the fence once. She gave me active support in my campaign of '08, and I welcomed it. But I say, if my own sister had challenged the faith of millions, as Miss Drummond is doing, well, I would oppose her still. Now, Mr. Hornbeck, I have a question for you. My clipping service has sent me some of your dispatches.
It's wonderful to know I'm being clipped.
It grieves me to read such a poem that is so biased.
I'm no reporter, I'm a critic.
I do hope you'll stay for Reverend Brown's prayer meeting. It may bring you some enlightenment.
Oh, don't worry, I'm on a press pass and I don't intend on missing any part of the show.
Good evening, Reverend. How are you, Mother?
The Reverend was good enough to escort me.
Looking forward to your prayer meeting, Reverend.
You'll find our people are fervent in their belief.
Matt, I know it's a warm night. These nightmares can be dangerous. And, well, you know how you perspire.
Mother is always so worried about my throat. I will be okay.
I always like to begin my meetings at the time announced.
Sorry, commendable, Reverend, after you.
Thank you, Reverend. Brothers and sisters, I come to you on the wings of the word. The wings of the word being loud in the treetops, howling loud in the belly of the wind.
Amen. Reverend, amen.
Do we believe in the word?
We do.
Do we believe in the truth of the word? Hearken to the word. The word tells us that the world was created in 7 days. That in the beginning, the world was without form. And then God said, let there be light.
Amen.
God said, let there be firmament.
Absolutely.
And as he said it was so, the dry land, the fruit trees, the grass, the sun, the moon, the stars. It turned out to be good.
Hey, Dave.
Do we believe? Do we curse the man who has sinned against the word? Do we call down hellfire on the man who has sinned against the word? O Lord of tempest and righteousness, I pray that thou wilt make a sign unto us. I pray down the sinner. I call down the Savior.
Reverend Brown. I understand it is the great zeal of your faith which makes you out of this prayer. It is possible to be overzealous, to destroy that which you hope to save, so that nothing is left but dust. Remember the wisdom of Solomon in the book of Proverbs. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. The Bible also tells us God forgives his children. And we, the children of God, should forgive one another. Oh, my good friends, return to your homes. Blessing the Lord be with you. Whew.
It's gonna make a hell of a story.
You know what? We were good friends once. I was always glad of your support. What happened between us? There used to be such a mutuality, understanding, and admiration. Why is it, my old friend, that you have moved so far away from me?
Well, motion is relative. Perhaps it is you who has moved so far away by standing still.
gentle river kind. It's don't think of the folks behind. All on a beautiful morning. All on a beautiful morning.
Go on, Harper. Tell us what else Joshua Cates told you in that classroom of yours.
Well, he said at first that the earth was too hot for any life, and then it cooled down might, and cells and things began to live.
Cells?
Little bugs, like in the water. After that, the little bugs got to be bigger bugs, and they sprouted legs and crawled on the land.
And how long did this take, according to your Mr. Cates?
A couple million years, maybe longer. After that came the fishes and the bugs and the reptiles and the mammals. Man's a mammal.
Along with the dogs and the cattle in the field, did he say that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Harper, how did people come out of this slimy mess of bugs and serpents, according to your professor?
Well, we sort of evoluted from the old world monkeys.
Did you hear that, my friends? Old world monkeys! You mean to tell me that you and I aren't even descended from good old American monkeys, huh? Now listen carefully, Harper. In all this talk of evolution, of slime and ooze, did Joshua Cates ever make any reference to God?
Not as I remember.
Or the miracle he performed in 7 days, as described in the beautiful book of Genesis.
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen!
I'd like the court to remind the Land Council that this is not a revival tent. He's supposed to be submitting evidence to a jury, not making a speech.
Your Honor, I have no intention of making a speech. I'm sure that everyone on the jury, as well as everyone within the sound of this child's voice, is moved by her tragic confusion, being taught that we wriggled up like animals from the filth and the muck below. I say these Bible haters, these evolutionists, what they are brewers! They are brewers of poison, and this state legislator has had the wisdom to demand that these peddlers of poison in bottles or in books clearly label the products that they attempt to sell. And I say, if this law is not upheld, why this young person will become one of a generation shorn of its fate by the teachers of godless science. But if the full penalty of the law is meted out to Joshua Cates, why then the faithful, the whole world over, who are watching us here today and listening to our every word, they will call this courtroom blessed. Your witness.
I sure am glad Mr. Brady didn't make a speech. Now, Harper, I heard you say that it used to be pretty hot.
That's what Mr. Cates said.
Do you figure that it was any hotter than it is right now?
Well, I guess it must have been. Mr. Cates read it to us from a book.
And do you know what book?
I guess that one that Mr. Darwin taught.
Do you figure anything's wrong about that, Harper?
Well, I don't know.
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is asking that a 13-year-old hand down an opinion on a question of morality.
I'm trying to establish, Your Honor, that Harper, or Mr. Brady, or anybody in this courtroom, or you, Your Honor, has the right to think.
Colonel Drummond, the right to think is not on trial here.
I hold that the right to think is very much on trial, and is fearfully in danger of the proceedings of this court.
A criminal. A criminal is on trial.
A thinking man, not a criminal. And he is threatened with fine and imprisonment because he chooses to speak about what he thinks.
Could you please rephrase your question?
Let's put it this way, Harper. I'll this fuss and feathers about evolution, do you think what Mr. Cates told you hurt you any?
Ma'am?
Did it harm you any? Still feel reasonably fit? What Mr. Cates said, did it hurt your softball game? Affect your pitching on?
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm a lefty.
Softball, eh? Still honor your mother and father.
Sure.
Haven't murdered anybody since breakfast?
Objection sustained.
Your Honor.
Ask this. Has your holy
When
faith
I need
been
your
shattered?
valuable help, Colonel, you may rest assured I will humbly ask for it. Harper, do you believe everything that Mr. Cates told you?
Well, I don't know. I gotta think it over.
Good for you. Your folks are farmers, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Got a tractor?
Brand new one.
You figure a tractor's sinful because it isn't mentioned in the Bible.
Well, I don't know.
Moses never made a phone call. Suppose that makes a telephone the instrument of the devil.
I never thought of it that way.
You know what?
The defense is making the same mistake. As do all the godless scoffers, they are confusing material things for the great spiritual realities of the revealed word. Why do you bewilder this child, huh? Does right have no meaning to you?
Realizing I may prejudice the case of my kind, I must hold that right has no meaning to me whatsoever. Truth has meaning, as a direction. But one of the peculiar imbecilities of our time is the grid of morality that we place on human behavior, so that every act must be measured against an arbitrary latitude of right and a longitude of wrong. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Harper?
No, ma'am.
Maybe you will someday. Thank you, my young friend. That's all.
The witness is excused. You can go back to your folks now, Harper. It won't be easy anymore. Does the prosecution wish to call any further witnesses?
Would Miss Rachel Brown please step forward? Miss Brown, you're a teacher at the Hillsborough Consolidated School, am I correct?
Yes?
So you have had ample time to get to know the defendant, Joshua Cates, professionally.
Yes.
Tell me, are you and Mr. Cates members of the same spiritual community?
Objection. I don't understand all this talk about spiritual communities. He wants to know if they go to the same church. Why doesn't he just ask that?
Objection overruled. You'll answer the question, please.
I did answer, didn't I? What was the question?
Do you and Joshua Cates attend the same church?
Not anymore. Josh dropped out 2 summers ago.
Why?
Well, it was what happened with the little Stebbins boy.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Boy was 11 years old, and he went for a swim in the river, and he got a cramp, and he drowned. Josh felt awful about it. He lived right next door, and Tommy Stebbins, he used to come over and look through his microscope. Josh said the boy had a quick mind, and he might have become a scientist when he grew up. At the funeral, Ma preached that Tommy didn't die in a state of grace because his father wouldn't allow him to be baptized.
Tell him what your mother really said. That Tommy's soul is damned, rising in hellfire. Religion's supposed to comfort people, isn't it? Oh, right in the back.
We will have order here. Now sit down. Josh.
Your Honor, I request that the defense remarks be stricken from the record.
But how can we strike this young man's bigoted opinions from the memory of this community? Go on, my dear. Tell us some more of Mr. Cates' opinions on the subject of religion.
The bench sees no problem with this line of questioning. Proceed, Colonel Brady.
Simply recount in your own words some of the conversations you have had with the defendant.
I don't remember exactly.
What you told me the other day. That presumably humorous remark Joshua Cates made about the Heavenly Father.
Josh said,
Go ahead.
I can't.
Miss Brown, may I remind you that you are testifying under oath and it is unlawful to withhold pertinent information?
Josh was talking about some things he'd read.
Were you shocked when he told you these things? Described to the core your innermost feelings when Joshua Cates said to you, "Get out, Craig! Craig, go!"
He was just joking. What he said was, God created man in his own image, and man, being a gentleman, returned the compliment.
Instead of matrimony, how did it compare to the freedom of
Oh, he didn't say that. He didn't mean that. That's not what I told you.
Well, Miss Brown, you care for a glass of water?
Given the circumstances, I believe the witness should be excused.
Well, the defense not have a chance to tell us.
Don't take her. Let her go.
No question. In the circumstances, the witness is excused.
Let's go.
Rachel, I said let's go!
Does the prosecution wish to call any further witnesses?
Not at the present time, Your Honor. Prosecution
We
rests.
will continue with the case for the defense. Colonel Drummond?
Your Honor, I wish to call Dr. Amos D. Keller, head of the Department of Zoology at University of Chicago.
Objection.
On what grounds?
I wish to question what possible relevance a testimony from a professor of zoology could have on the bearings of this trial.
It has every relevance. My client is on trial for the teachings of evolution. Therefore, any testimony related to his alleged infringement must be omitted.
Irrelevant, immaterial, inadmissible.
Why? If Joshua Cates were accused of murder, wouldn't it be relevant to call an expert witness to examine the murder weapon? Would you rule out a testimony that says the murder weapon is incapable of firing a bullet?
I've failed to grasp the learned counsel's meaning.
Oh, Your Honor. The defense wishes to call Dr. Keller on the stand to explain to the jury exactly what evolutionary theory is. For how can they pass a judgment on it if they don't know what it's all about?
I hold that the very law we are here to uphold excludes such testimony. The people of the state have made it abundantly clear. They do not want this zoological hogwash slobbered around in the classrooms of this state. And you know what? I refuse to let this courtroom become a sounding board, a platform for which these agnostic scientists spread their heresies into the headlines.
Colonel Drummond, the bench rules that zoology is irrelevant to the case.
Agnostic scientists? Then I call Dr. Alan Page, deacon of the Congregational Church and professor of archaeology and geology at University of Stanford.
Objection.
Objection sustained.
In one breath, does the court deny the existence of geology, archaeology, and zoology?
We do not deny the existence of these sciences, but they do not relate to this point of law.
Walter Harrison, philosopher, anthropologist, author. One of the most brilliant minds in our world today. Objection, Colonel Brady?
Objection.
Objection sustained.
Your Honor, the defense has brought to us for a great deal of expense and inconvenience. 6 noted scientists, the thinkers of our time. Their testimony is the basic defense of my client. For it is my intent to show this courtroom that what Joshua Cates spoke softly one afternoon at Hillsborough High School is no crime. It's incontrovertible as geometry in every enlightened community of minds.
In this community, Colonel Drummond, and in this sovereign state, exactly the opposite is true. We do not need to be bringing in experts to question the validity of a law that is well already on the books.
In other words, the court denies any expert testimony on Charles Darwin, origin of species, or descent of man.
The court so rules. Chairman Brady?
Excuse me, sorry. Excuse me. If the counsel for the defense can proceed their case through use of the Holy Bible, well, then by all means the prosecution will take no exception.
Good. Then I call one of the world's foremost experts on the Bible and its teachings, Matthew Harrison Brady.
Well, it's highly unorthodox. I've never had an instance where the case for the defense calls the prosecuting attorney as a witness.
With all due respect, this entire trial has been unorthodox. If the interests of right and justice shall be served, I will take the stand.
Sure, the court will back you up if you wish not to testify, seeing as it will be against your own case.
I will not be testifying against anything. I will speak out, as I have all my life, on behalf of the living truth of the scriptures. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God!
Am I correct, sir, on calling you as an authority on the Bible?
I believe it is not boastful to say that I have studied the Bible as much as any layman, and I have tried to live according to its precepts.
Well, good for you. Now, I suppose you could quote me chapter and verse right straight from the King James Version, can't you?
There are many portions of the Holy Bible I have committed to memory.
And I don't suppose you memorized many passages from the Origin of Species?
I'm not in the least interested in the pagan hypotheses of that book.
Never read it?
And I never will.
Then how do you have the gall to whoop up this holy war when you don't know what it's all about? How can you be so cocksure that the body of scientific knowledge and the writings of Charles Darwin is in any way irreconcilable with the spirit of Book of Genesis?
Can you state that again, please?
Let me put it this way. On page 19, Charles Darwin states...
Objection, Your Honor. Objection. I've been called here as an authority on the Bible. Miss Drummond's trying to use this time to read into record scientific testimony, which you, Your Honor, have previously ruled is irrelevant. If Miss Drummond is going to quiz me and examine me on the Bible, let her stick to the Bible, the Holy Bible, and only the Bible.
You will confine your questions to the Bible, please.
The Sentinel. We'll play in your ballpark, Colonel. Now, this is the book that you're an expert on?
That is correct.
And do you believe that everything written in this book should be taken literally?
Everything in the Bible should be accepted exactly as it is given there.
Now take this place where the whale swallows Jonah. Do you figure that actually happened?
The Bible does not say a whale, it says a big fish.
Matter of fact, it says a great fish. But that's pretty much the same thing. What's your feeling about that?
I believe in a God who can make a whale and a man and make both do what it pleases.
Amen. Comments in the record? Now, I recall a story about Joshua making the sun stand still. You tell me that this is as true as the Jonas business, right? That's a pretty neat trick. You suppose Houdini could do it?
I do not question, nor do I scoff at the miracles of the Lord, as do ye of little faith.
Have you ever pondered what would just naturally happen to the earth if the sun stood still?
You can testify to that if I get you on the stand.
If they say that the sun stood still, they must have had some notion that the earth moves around the sun. Do you think that's the way of things? Or don't you believe that the sun moves around the earth?
I have faith in the Bible.
You don't have much faith in the solar system.
The sun stopped.
Good. Now if what you say actually happened, Joshua halted the sun in the sky, that means the earth stopped spinning on its axis. Continents toppled over each other, mountains flew out into space, and earth, arrested in its orbit, shriveled into a cinder, and crashed into the sun. How come they missed this stupid event?
They missed it because it didn't happen.
It must have happened, according to natural law. Or don't you believe in natural law, Mr. Brady? Would you like to ban Copernicus from the classroom along with Charles Darwin? Pass a law to wipe out all scientific development since Joshua. Revelations, period.
Natural law was conceived in the mind of the Heavenly Father. He can use it, change it, cancel it if he so pleases. It always amazes me that you apostles of science, for all your supposed wisdom, seem to fail to grasp one simple fact.
Guess I gotta think of something else then. Listen to this. Genesis 4:16. Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and rested in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife. Where the hell did she come from?
Who?
Mrs. Cain, Cain's wife. But in the beginning, there were only Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Where did this extra woman spring up from? Did I figure that out?
No, ma'am. But you know what? I will leave the agnostics to hunt for her.
Never bothered me.
Never bothered me.
Never try to find out?
Nope.
Figure somebody else pulled up another creation over the next century?
I have faith in the Bible. It is enough.
Terrifies me, the state of learning that this country would be in if everybody shared your driving curiosity. The book now goes into a lot of begots. Nafrax begot Sahalan, Sahal begot Eber, and so on and so on. These pretty important books.
They are the generations of holy men and women in the Bible.
And how did they go about all this begetting?
What do you mean?
I mean, did people begot in those days about the same way they get themselves begot today?
The process is about the same. I don't think your scientists have improved it any.
In other words, these people were conceived and brought forth through the normal biological function known as sex. What do you think about sex, Colonel Brady?
In what spirit is this question asked?
I'm not asking you what you think of sex as a father, or a husband, or a presidential candidate. You're up here as an expert on the Bible. What is the biblical evaluation of sex?
It is considered original sin.
And all these holy people got themselves begot their original sin? All this sin didn't make him any less holy?
Your Honor, what does this have to do with the state versus Joshua case? Where is this leading us?
Colonel Drummond, the bench must be satisfied this line of questioning has some bearing on the case.
You ruled out all my witnesses. You must allow me to examine the one witness you've left me with my own way.
Very well, very well. I'll sit here, and I will stand for Miss Drummond's sneering and her disrespect. But she is pleading the case of the prosecution for her contempt by all that is holy.
You're wrong.
Oh, really? Is it possible there is something holy to the celebrated agnostic?
Yes! The individual human mind. In a child's power to master the multiplication table, there is more sanctity than any of your shouted amens. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral. And the advance of man's knowledge is a greater miracle than any of your sticks turned into snakes or parting of waters. But now we are to halt the march of progress because Mr. Brady frightens us with a fable? Ladies and gentlemen, progress has never been a bargain. You've got to pay for it. Sometimes I think there's a clerk behind a counter that says, all right, you can have a telephone, but you have to give up your privacy. You may conquer the sky, but the birds will lose their wonder and the air will smell ghastly. Darwin moved us forward to a hilltop that we can look back from which we came. But for this view, for this insight, we must abandon our faith in the pleasant poetry of the book of Genesis.
No. We must not abandon faith. Faith is the most important thing.
Then why did God plague us with the power to think, Mr. Brady? Why do you deny us the one faculty that lifts us above all other creatures? The power for our brains to reason. If not this, what else have we? The elephant is larger. The horse is stronger and swifter. The butterfly is more beautiful. The mosquito is more prolific. Even the simple sponge is more durable. What does a sponge think?
I don't know. I'm a man, not a sponge.
Do you think a sponge thinks?
If the Lord wishes a sponge to think, it'll think.
Does a human being have the same privileges as a sponge?
Of course it does.
And this human being wishes to be accorded the same privileges as a sponge. He wishes to think.
But your client is wrong. He's deluded. He has lost his way.
It's sad that we aren't all gifted with your positive knowledge of right and wrong, Mr. Brady. How old do you think this rock is?
I'm more interested in the rock of ages than the age of rocks.
Dr. Page tells me that this is at least 10 million years old.
Well, you managed to sneak in some of that scientific testimony in after all, Colonel Drummond.
Look at this, Mr. Brady. Prehistoric fossil remains that lived here millions of years ago in this very country, when these very mountain ranges were submerged in water.
I know. The Bible gives a fine account of the flood. But I'm afraid your professor is a little mixed up on his dates. That rock? Not more than 6,000 years old.
How do you know?
A fine biblical scholar, Bishop Usher, has determined for us the exact date and time of the creation. It occurred in the year 4004 BC.
Well, that's Bishop Usher's opinion.
It is not opinion. It is literal fact, passed down by the good bishop through careful computation of the ages of the prophets as put down in the Old Testament. The creation began on the 23rd day of October in the year 4004 BC at 9 a.m.
At Eastern Standard Time? Rocky Mountain time. It wasn't daylight saving times, was it? Because the Lord didn't make the sun until the 4th day.
That is correct.
The 1st day. What is a 24-hour day?
The Bible says it was a day.
There wasn't any sun. How could they tell?
The Bible says it was a day.
A normal day. A literal day. A 24-hour day.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I do not think about things that I do not think about.
Well, do you ever think about things that you do think about? Couldn't it have been possible that the 1st day was 25 hours long? There was no way to measure it, no way to tell. Could it have been 25 hours?
I suppose it is possible.
So you interpret that the 1st day recorded in the book of Genesis could have been of an undetermined length.
Well, no, no. All I mean to say is that the 1st day was not necessarily a 24-hour day.
It could have been 30 hours, or a month, or a year, or 100 years, or 10 million years.
Well, Your Honor, this is not only irrelevant, immaterial, it is illegal. What is the purpose of Miss Drummond's examination? What is she trying to do? I'll tell you what she's trying to do. She's trying to make everyone lose their faith in the Bible and in God.
You know that's not true. I'm trying to stop you bigots from controlling the education of the United States, and you know it.
How dare you attack the Bible?
The Bible is a book. A good book, but not the only book.
God spoke to the men who wrote the Bible. It is the revealed word of the Almighty.
And how did you know that God didn't speak to
I know because God tells me to oppose the evil teaching of that man.
Oh. God speaks to you?
Yes.
He tells you exactly what's right and what's wrong?
Yes.
And you act accordingly?
Yes.
So you, Matthew Harrison Brady, through oratory or legislation or whatever, pass along God's orders to the rest of the world.
No, that's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the prophet from Nebraska.
No, stop.
God speaks to Brady, and Brady tells the world to be as Brady
God. Listen, every human soul is a free agent.
Unless Joshua Cates in Hillsborough Gym. Suppose Mr. Cates had enough lung power and influence to pass a law that says only Charles Darwin should be taught in schools.
Ridiculous. There's only one true truth, ladies and gentlemen.
Gospel according to Brady. God speaks to Brady.
People of Hillsborough.
Brady. Oh, my. What is the lesson human being? A case
Please do not listen to her.
Had the audacity to think that God might
heresy.
That an un-Brady thought might still be holy. Must the man go to prison because he has a self-appointed prophet?
Ignore that.
Minister according to Brady. Brady.
No.
Why don't we make a book about Brady?
No.
And we'll slip you in neatly between Numbers and Deuteronomy.
Please do not listen to her. All of you know what I stand for. What I believe in the book of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings.
Look at me, Matt.
It's okay. No, they're laughing at me. They're laughing at me.
They're not laughing at you. Listen to me. They're not laughing at you. Nobody's here. Nobody's laughing at you. See?
I can't stand it when they laugh at me.
I know. They're all gone. Nobody's laughing at you. It's okay. Listen to me. Listen to me. Though I walk through the valley of shadows and death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. We will get through this valley of shadows and death. It's gonna be okay. Okay? We will find a way past this. All right? Oh, baby.
Morning, Colonel. How are you today? Still fighting with justice? Tripping over it. Oh! I'd hate to see the jury filing in, wouldn't you? Here, think fast. I'm gonna miss Hillsborough, especially this courthouse. Mix of Moorish and Mormon. Must have been designed by a congressman, if you know what I mean. Come on, that's funny. Laugh.
Mr. Drummond, what's going to happen now?
I don't know.
Do you think they'll send me to prison?
They could.
They don't ever let you see anybody from the outside, do they? I mean, you can just talk to a visitor through a window, the way they show it in the movies.
It's not as bad as all that. When they started this fire here, they never thought it would light up the whole sky. A lot of shoes are getting hot. But you can't be too sure.
He seems so sure. He seems to know what the verdict's going to be.
Nobody knows. I've got a pretty good idea. When you've been a lawyer as long as I have, a couple thousand years or so, you get to a point that you can smell the way the jury's thinking.
Well, what are they thinking now?
Now, one day I'm going to get me an easy case. An open shut case. Got a friend up in Chicago. Oh, how the money rolls in. But you know what? So he won't take a case unless it's a sure case. Like a jockey who won't race unless he races the best horse.
You sure picked the long shot this time, Mr. Drummond.
Hearing loud and clear, live broadcasting is ready to go.
There's no
precedent for this sort of thing. I've never allowed a live broadcast in my courtroom before.
Well, Your Honor, we're making history here today. It's right, don't you think, for the public to hear it too?
I'll allow it, provided it doesn't interfere with the business of the court.
Speaking of that, just got this note where I put your name.
Worried over the Capitol about how things are going? Newspapers raising such hullabaloo. But they're not too far off. No good the voters getting all steamed up, let things simmer down. The mayor wants me to make this blow over, wants me to go easy.
I understand. We ought to be broadcasting live, Your Honor.
So it would seem, Colonel Brady.
Then, would you kindly signal me if my voice does not have significant...
Hear ye, the court will now reach the end of the case of the state versus Joshua Cates.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to you live from the broadcast. Sorry, folks. We come to you live from the courthouse in Hillsborough. The jury is just returning to the courtroom to render its verdict on the famous Hillsborough monkey trial case. The judge has just returned to the bench, and in the next few minutes we shall know whether Joshua Cates will be found innocent or guilty.
Appears the jury has reached a verdict. The jury's decision is unanimous. Joshua Cates, on the accusation of violating Public Act Volume 37, Statute Number 31428, this court has found you guilty as charged.
Step right up! Step right up! Welcome to the Middle Ages! You don't like to witness the coronation of Charlemagne!
Quiet, please. Order. This court is still in session. The prisoner will rise for the sentencing of the court.
Question of procedure. Isn't it customary in this country to allow the defense to have one more remark before sentence is passed?
Yes, Colonel Drummond, I regret this omission and the confusion and the neglected. Mr. Cates, if you would wish to make a statement at this time, you may.
Your Honor, I am not a public speaker. I do not have the eloquence of some of the people you may have heard in the last few days. I'm just a school teacher.
Not anymore, you aren't.
I was a school teacher. I feel I have been convicted of violating an unjust law, and I will continue in the future as I have in the past to oppose this law in any way I can.
Joshua Cates, this court has found you guilty of the charges against you. This is punishable by fine and or imprisonment. Since there's no previous violation of this statute, there's no precedent to guide the bench in passing this sentence. I hereby sentence Joshua Cates to pay a fine of $100.
John, say $100?
That's correct, Colonel Brady.
Your Honor, the prosecution takes exception. But the matter is so titanic! The court must now Lord address
Just a minute! This fine is of no concern to me. And Joshua Cates has no intention of paying this fine or any other fine, even if it were $1 single dollar. We will appeal this decision to the Supreme Court of the state. Will the court grant us 30 days to prepare our appeal?
Granted. I raise the bail to $500.
Your Honor, if it would please the bench, I would like to read into record some remarks I have prepared.
I object to that.
I do have some remarks.
I object to that. Mr. Brady can make any remarks he likes, short or long, in a revival tent or a presidential campaign. But our business in Hillsborough is finished. The defense holds that the court shall be adjourned.
I hereby declare this court is adjourned.
And so concludes this case and this broadcast. A guilty verdict to the promise for the defense to appeal. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning into this momentous verdict. And a good day.
Your Honor, I do have some remarks.
We beg your attention, please. Mr. Colonel Brady has a few remarks he'd like to make, which I'm sure will interest all of us.
My good friends of Hillsborough, it has come to my attention kid we've seen finish.
Talk about inheriting the wind.
How quickly they can check. How painful it can be when you least expect it. I wonder how it feels to be almost president 3 times. Head full of undelivered inauguration speeches.
Something happens to an also-ran. Something happens to the feet of man who always came in second place. He becomes a balding orphan, an aging adolescent who never got the biggest piece of candy. And like all the unloved children in our countries, they impose themselves into spotlights. And they stand on their hands and wiggle their feet and they say, "Look at me! Look at me!" They break pulpits with their pounding. Their tonsils become pipe organs. But most importantly, they're alone. Show me shatter. I'll show you an also rare. I might have been. And almost was. Pretty good, right? What do you think, Gates?
Did you see his face? He looked terrible.
I'm surprised more folks keeled over in this heat.
Oh, he's all right. Give him a minute to sweat away the pickles and the pumpernickel, and let his tongue forget the acid taste of victory, and Mount Brady will erupt again, spouting mediocre monologues in irrelevant ashes.
What's the matter, Josh?
I don't know. Did he win or did he lose?
You won.
But the jury found me.
What jury? 12 residents of Hillsborough? Millions of people will say you won. They'll read in their newspapers tonight that you smashed a law of bad law. You made it a joke.
What now? What's called to happen now? I haven't got a job. I've got no place to go.
Sure, it's gonna be tough. Won't be a church social for a while, but you'll learn. And while they're making you sweat, remember, you've helped the next in line.
What do you mean by that?
You don't figure this thing is ever actually over, do you? Tomorrow will be something else and another soldier will have to stand up. And you've helped give them the guts to do it.
Miss Meeker, don't you have to lock me up?
They fix bail.
You don't expect a school teacher to have $500, do you?
He paid it.
For a year's subscription to Baltimore Herald, we offer you a year of freedom! You're welcome.
Rachel!
Hello, Josh.
Where are you going?
I'm not sure, but I'm leaving my mother.
Huh?
Josh, it's my fault the jury found you guilty. Well,
What do you mean?
partly my fault. And I'm sorry. Josh, this is your book. I've read it all the way through. I don't understand most of it, and what I do understand, I don't like. I don't like to think we came from apes and monkeys, but I think that's beside the point.
That's right. That's beside the point.
Miss Drummond, I'm sorry if I've said anything to offend you. You see, I never really thought before. I was always too afraid of what I might think, and so it seemed safer not to think at all. But now I know. A thought is like a child inside your body. If it dies inside you, part of you dies too. Maybe what Mr. Darwin wrote is bad. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Like children, they have to come out. Some sickly, some healthy. I mean, I think the sickly ideas die mostly, don't you, Josh?
Colonel Drummond is dead.
Did you mean Brady?
Matthew Harrison Brady died of a busted belly! invitations to be illiterate. Why cry for him? He's cried enough for himself. Like a one-man Mississippi from Weeping Water, Nebraska. Face it, he was a Bible-beating bastard.
You smart aleck. You have no right to spit on his religion as much as you have right to spit on my own. Or my lack of it.
Look at this. Harriet Drummond, even for the defense of our enemies.
A great man once lived in that body.
Oh, should I put that in the memorial?
Write anything you damn please.
How do you write an obituary for a man who's been dead for 30 years? Here lies MHB. And then what? The guy who got his letters to the Corinthians lost in the mail? 2 years, 10 years. People are going to come here and they're going to ask, who died here? Matthew Harrison who? Face it. Wait a minute. What did he say to the preacher? He said something to the preacher that fits this obituary. It's in a stupid book.
He who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be a servant to the wise in heart.
We're going an odd crop of agnostics this year.
I'm getting damn tired of you, Hornback.
Why?
Because you never push a noun against a verb except to blow something
That's
up.
a typical word trick, accusing the accuser.
What am I accused of?
I charge you with contempt of conscience, some perjury, kindness of forethought.
Why? Because I refuse to erase a man's lifetime? Matt Brady had the same right as Joshua Cates. The right to be wrong.
Oh, so it's be kind to bigots week? Oh, Brady's dead, so we have to be kind to him. God, the world is just rotting with kindness.
Matt Brady was a good man once. But he got lost. Because he was searching for God too high up and too far away.
You hypocrite! You fraud! You're more religious than he was. Excuse me, everyone. I have to get me to a typewriter and type out the story of an atheist who believes in God.
I still can't believe Brady's dead. The judge must have been so shocked that they thought Drummond was dead. Colonel Drummond!
Cates, I'm resigning my commission in the state militia. And I handed my sword.
Hey, doesn't it cost a lot of money for an appeal? I couldn't pay you.
I didn't come here for money. Well, I better get myself on a train. There's one out at 5:13. Josh, you and I can be on that train too.
Well, I'll go get my stuff then.
I'll help you.
Let's go. See you at the teapot, Miss Drummond.
Wait, you forgot?
I know that.
Everybody says what you did is bad.
It's not.
Twice. Once in 04 and again in 08. Saw him once at a revival meeting in Chattanooga. Temple shook. Who's gonna be your lawyer, son?
Tell him what your mother really said. That Tommy's soul is damned, riding in hellfire. Religion's supposed to comfort people, isn't it? Not ride them back.
We will have order here. Now sit down. Josh.
I guess I'm as religious as the next.
Hillsborough, ma'am, that means a great deal. Damn, the children, Miss Sills.
Children? Not as I know of.
If you're the jury is just returning to the courtroom to render its verdict on the famous Hillsborough monkey trial case. The judge has just returned to the bench, and in the next few minutes we shall know whether Joshua Cates will be found innocent or guilty.
What law? You could keep her out.
I saw a gentleman once in a courtroom in Ohio. A man was on trial for the most vicious crime, and although she knew and admitted Drummond was perverting the evidence, he cast the guilt away from the accused and onto you and me and all of society. I can still see.
Snap quiz on existence.
What?
Where we from, where we are, where we're going, things like that.
All of the answers to those questions are in the Bible.
Oh my God. You feed the youth of Hillsborough from that little vegetable garden of your mind?
Or a month, or a year, or 100 years, or 10 million years.
Well, Your Honor, this is not only irrelevant, immaterial, it is illegal. What is the purpose of Miss Drummond's examination? What is she trying to do? I'll tell you what she's trying to do. She's trying to make everyone lose their faith in the Bible and in God.
You know that's not true.
Against the blasphemy sign.
Remember, the doctor told you not to overeat.
I will be fine, Mother. Just a bite or two. Mom. Hello, Miss Dunlap.
I believe in the holy word of God, and I believe in Matthew Harrison Brady. What I guess it must have been. Mr. Cates read it to us from a book. And do you know what book? I guess that one that Mr. Darwin got. Do you figure anything's wrong about that, Harper? Well, I don't know.
Objection!
Well, do you ever think about things that you do think about? Couldn't it have been possible that the first day was 25 hours long? There was no way to measure it, no way to tell. Could it have been 25 hours? Your Honor, I want that sign taken down. No! I want one put up just as big that says, read your Darwin.
That's preposterous.
It certainly is.
Colonel Drummond, you are out of order. This court stands recessed.